So it's time for us to review some of the wins we've had against the Trump administration. It's long overdue. Donald Trump's legal L's for a week. I used to do these on a daily basis and a weekly basis, and then I just got overwhelmed because there's so much news. But anyway, let's get started. It's in no particular order. So the district court judge blocked Donald Trump's attempt to politicize SNAP benefits and cut off 44,000 Minnesotans. As you may or may not know, he's attacking that blue city, which is a criminal law, by the way, criminal violation, what he's doing. Anyway, so the judge said that Donald Trump's attempt to require SNAP benefits to be interviewed in person by January 16th or risk, it's ridiculous. So that was blocked. Again, it's just politicizing blue cities and states, which is a violation. A federal district court judge also blocked Donald Trump's attempt to get access to voter rolls in California. That case was just tossed out. A similar case that was filed in Oregon was also tossed out. And because the Trump administration is what I call a whack-a-mole administration, like once they get stopped from doing something, like a court throws something out or they lose, they file another lawsuit or they, commit a similar violation against another jurisdiction, and then it starts all over again. He's a lawfare. He's been involved in something like 40,000. I feel like it's 40,000, probably like 4,000, maybe more lawsuits in his life. About 22 of them he's been plaintiff. So that's what he does. They file these crazy, frivolous lawsuits abusing our funds, our taxpayer dollars, because when they lose, because they lose a lot, the lawyers that represented the city or state or union usually ask for the judge to reward them lawyers' fees to defend the lawlessness. And so we just end up losing again. When we're done calculating the amount of money this administration has lost us, it's going to be like, I swear it's going to be like in the billions. They're so frivolous and so useless, absolutely useless. Okay, a federal district court judge, actually a Trump-appointed one, Judge Carl Nichols, issued a preliminary injunction blocking Donald Trump's attempt to stop a wind project in New York with that following process. 5 projects that Donald Trump attempted to block, courts have already lifted 3. One in New York, one in Virginia, and I believe another one in Massachusetts, but don't quote me on that, but there are 5. Ultimately, they're all going to be lifted. So you follow me, I'm JJ Legal. One of the things I tell you are not, one of the things I tell you is that the lawsuits that they file are not based in law or facts or following proper process. And because of that, they lose every single time. And they will continue to lose. And again, against judges appointed by Trump himself or other Republicans. So that's a win. See, for the 3rd time, a judge blocked Donald Trump's executive order that he issued last year that essentially would have required new restrictions related to giving people ballots, whether or not they count the ballots or machines, all the things that they can't do. Because as I've said before and I shared, for people who say that he's going to cancel the midterms, this is the attempt to sort of manipulate and access. There's a false belief, a false narrative that there's a lot of massive voter fraud. And if you do a Google search or chat, if you're interested in AI search, you'll find out very few examples of voter fraud. And usually the examples that you will discover that have gotten prosecuted and sentenced for are from Republicans. So it's a false narrative. Essentially, making the false claim about voter rolls or voter fraud is an attempt for them to actually manipulate the ballots in order to impact the turnout. And this was an example. And the judge, for the 3rd time, a judge says, you can't do that. That's not your purview. That's a state thing. Go away. Winning. So another judge blocked the Trump administration's attempt to deny the advanced parole status of family members. So the way it works, that if you are in this country and you're given some sort of asylum or some sort of other benefit, perhaps a temporary protected status, you could file for your family members to come and join you. So they're trying to remove children. 30% of the people who are beneficiary of this program are children. Like, pull them out of school and kick them out of the country. Yeah. That's a Project 2025 agenda. They're like, take anybody out other than actual U.S. citizens or their green card holders. They're trying to block the family, the kids. They really literally try to get some babies who, some of them, they're sick, out of their bed on Labor Day last year, put them in a plane and dump them in another country. Like, that's how cruel this family first administration is. So that got blocked. Like, you can't do that. So 10,000 people had been impacted by it. It got blocked because of the disruption. There wasn't follow proper process. The reasoning is like, what is the reason? other than xenophobia and racism. I just cannot wait till we're over this period and have you guys realize, like, y'all thought y'all had the people who say stuff like, this is not the country I lived in. Yes, it's a country that's built on the backs of slaves, that has had a horrible history with inequality, discrimination, racism, bias. For a long time, you've lived through all of this. It's in your history books. This is the country that you live in. Stop that. It's just like becoming like Nazi. No, it's becoming like Jim Crow era America. If I see one more person refer to Nazi Germany as say we're going to become like the Yahtzees. We're becoming like the America from yesteryear. Okay, Donald Trump has also tried to withhold $10 billion in grants from 5 Democrat-led cities. For what reason, we don't know. But essentially, it was preliminary blocked, and the judge says there's a proper process, and these grants and these funding was already allocated from a previous administration, from a previous budget to these states. And if you're going to revoke them, it has to be based on something. And this is whack-a-mole, because they've tried to do this for an entire year. Every single time they try to do this, they have some success. The state's attorney generals, like in this case, run to sue and they win and they get the grants back. It's like, just leave people alone. But no, they're just going to rather just annoy. It's a tyrant. The domestic terrorists, they're domestically terrorizing the people who did not vote for them. Like, that is not how it works. Imagine if a Democrat president wins next term and they decide that we're just going to punish the red state. Y'all not going to like it. So you don't like what you think could happen. We don't want to live this way. We don't have to live this way. But we all need to check my next private video. I have a video already in my private community. If you're not a member, I talk about the 5 things we need to do to make sure we close off all the loopholes, and you can check them out over there. And I'm going to add to it, I think. There's some more thoughts I have on there. You can join my private community on Substack, on Instagram. No, not Instagram. Substack, on Patreon or YouTube or TikTok, where you can find those videos. Another interesting, last year, Judge William Young had blocked the Trump administration from trying to revoke the license and deport Ramisa Erztuch because she had written a policy paper, a journal article that was pro-Palestinian. And that Judge William Young, who'd already previously said of Donald Trump's attempt to revoke grants based on race or an anti-DI, was like, this is the most racist things I've ever seen in my life in 40 years on the bench. So he's back again. And this time he's like, y'all are crazy. Now we're getting into the stage regarding the not the settlement, but in terms of the portion of this case where we review the damages. And the judge said there was no policy. What happened is an unconstitutional conspiracy to pick off certain people. And his words were, I find it breathtaking. And I have been compelled on the evidence to find that the conduct of such high-level officers of our government, cabinet secretaries, conspired to infringe the First Amendment rights of people with such rights here in the United States. These cabinet secretaries have failed in their sworn duty to uphold the Constitution. And he's talking to you, Marco Rubio. So if you remember last year, Columbia University's Mahmoud Khalil, Mohsen Madwe, Tufts University PhD student Ramisa Erztuch, Georgetown University academic Badir Khan Suri were all being punished. And the judge said, this is just chilled speech. That's all you're doing, is trying to chill speech. Here's some cases to monitor. Minnesota sued the state administration for blocking agents. Now, the update to that case is that they used the wrong language. So procedurally, it got denied, but they can start again. Also, the state of Minnesota's and I think the state of Chicago, Illinois as well, sued the Trump administration for their surge, just saying it's kind of ridiculous. I don't know if those will win because the federal government does have the right to do immigration enforcement. So we'll see. I'll keep an eye out for you on those cases. So with a straight face, the Trump administration has told Judge Jim Boasberg that they are not prepared to bring the 236 men, or some of the men from Venezuela, in order to face have their habeas corpus proceedings and hearings that they're entitled to, that all 9 Supreme Court justices said they're entitled to, claiming logistics and claiming foreign diplomacy, which is BS, because just like with the El Salvadorans, sold the Trump administration under the bus and said there is no diplomacy. They hold the cards here. So that's just an excuse. And also, we already know from the other case regarding third-party deportation that in front of Judge Trevor McFadden, that they indeed did hold hearings in a container in Djibouti at an Air Force, at a military base, and they could do it here as well. So that's BS. I hope the lawyers for these young men bring up that as a defense. Crazy, right? But I'll keep an updated on that. Here's an update. So we all know that the whole stop and harass and the entire campaign that the Trump administration is doing at the Department of Homeland Security, harassing people based on their race, their ethnicity, their job status, their accent, is because of a case in California where the judge had temporarily stopped and blocked them from doing that, and the Supreme Court came in and said, no, keep going, and you can keep doing that until the case is finished. So we're now at the stage of the case where we're moving along, and Judge Frimpong looks like she's on her way to blocking ICE from using language, and it's a setup because once she does that, the Trump administration would have to appeal. And what would be their basis? Like, no, we want to be racist. We want to use race and accent. And it's going to go up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's going to have to, with a straight face. We already know Justice Kavanaugh is regretting the fact that his name is tied to the Kavanaugh. So I believe he's going to realize, I don't want that legacy. And he might try to undo that legacy by voting against that. So we know there's a 4 decision. And I believe it's possible that one of the other, you just need one other, perhaps Amy Coney Barrett, maybe Neil Gorsuch, and perhaps Chief Justice John Roberts will also rule that you can't use race because it's not a good idea. All of them should drop that policy and denounce that policy, because when you see the brutality, it's crazy that they would see the brutality and see that person was and continue this. They can't be trusted. So we'll see. But I'll give you an update on what happens with that case. But it's, we're moving along. That's why they issued a preliminary injunction blocking it, because court decisions take a long time. There's briefings, the exchange. They can be rushed. But in this case, there's just so much to exchange. And so anyway, I'll keep you updated. I usually try to stick with just law, but I'll let you know, legislative-wise, there was an attempt to issue a resolution that will block Donald Trump from invading Venezuela. And J.D. Vance came in with a tie-breaking vote to stop that. So the Congress, the Senate, they want to, the Republicans are willing to give up their authority and let Donald Trump act unilaterally. This vote would have stopped him from acting unilaterally. So they really are ceding their authority. It's insane. I don't even know how to begin. The Democrats were able to push some votes regarding the ACA subsidies, moving that along, that's a concern. And there have been rumblings that say that there is concern about Donald Trump's activities, and the Republicans are getting frustrated and keep holding water for him and towing the line for him. And they know that at the end of the day, some of them about to lose their seats because of him, and some of them are getting frustrated. It just takes a matter of time. I don't know what's going to happen, but we have time. So it's January now. We're middle of January. It's possible that something comes down. I don't know what will come down when they get them to finally get in. There's one thing I think of that is that's why they're stopping the Epstein files. Apparently, the DOJ had said something, they never have to release the Epstein files. So this is your alert. If you have copies of the Epstein files, I heard Alan Dershowitz said that he has the files. He says, I'll release them all. I'll release everything. So I do believe the whatever it is that's the most damaging, the thing, whatever it is that potentially the Russians have over Donald Trump to make him say he wants to invite Vladimir Putin to the Super Bowl, get the hell out of here. Whatever it is that they have over him, and other people have it. There's not one person to have it, because he's been doing, I don't know, allegedly, if they have something over him, whatever it is, other than what we've already seen. And we've already seen is really, really damaging. So to the extent that there's any other evidence that's clear and evident that we can tell the Republicans, this now, you really going down your career because you're defending this. At some point, if it comes out, it's this person did this stuff, doesn't matter how long ago, if it's determined that he did certain things, and there's video evidence that's clearly him, even though we already had anecdotal evidence and people saying stuff, allegations. The minute it gets to something that's a little bit more intangible and with some actual backup thing, I think at that point, I don't know. There's already lots that I think that I don't know why you guys want to tie your hands around, tie your reputation around this guy. Anyway, so those are the ones I have so far. There's been more. They've been coming in. There's other wins, but those are big wins that we've had. Lots of great stuff. I'll follow up, like I said, some of these, I'll follow up the extent to which the Supreme Court might reverse some of them. But anyway, it's 7 o'clock. I have to head out. Talk to you soon.